Okay, welcome to our second video. In this video, we're going to be looking at how to construct or edit a playlist, as well as add a new song, which may be the case, particularly for the uses that we use at church. Occasionally a song isn't already in the library, therefore we'll need to add it. But let's talk about editing and adjusting our playlist first. Now, you'll notice here that we've got a few different playlists that have already been here. We've got an AM service, a bit of a PM service with some components in here as well. Now, let's just say, for example, that the content from this PM service playlist is from the last service we had. It's not relevant to our service anymore. Well, what we can do is simply adjust this playlist or remove things by right-clicking on a component and just going remove from playlist. You can do that by, once again, just right-clicking, remove from playlist. If you have multiple pieces that you need to remove simultaneously, you can always click one, hold down shift, click the second, and remove it all from playlist. You can see that here in the PM service, now the playlist is empty. Likewise, in the AM service, you'll notice that there is some songs here, a few different information graphics, as well as what we call here a couple of headers. Now, these headers are basically, they don't actually appear on the screen, that is the output, but what they do is they just help order our media. Now, you'll notice there's worship 1, worship 2, for example. You can actually add a header just by clicking this plus button here and just going new header. You can name it, give it a name. For example, we might call it announcements. And then you'll notice that it defaults to this grey colour, but if you need to change the colour, you can always right click on it and go change header colour. It'll pop up with a little window and you can change it to whatever colour you'd like, but let's change it to cyan, for example. And then you can move it however you wish. Now, the good thing about the playlist is it's actually a live playlist. So if you want to move any component, all you need to do is click and drag it to wherever you need it to be. So for example, we might put this announcements header above the announcement slide. That'd be smart, wouldn't it? So, so we've just dragged that there, and you can see that it's updated here on our presentation window. Now, for the purposes of constructing a new playlist, we're just going to remove the content that exists within this one. So, Holy Night, I'm just holding down Shift there, all the way down to Baptism, and I'm just going to go remove. You might as well keep the headers. Usually the headers are pretty helpful. You can remove them, but we're going to keep them in there for now. Now, in order to add components to our playlist, we can first of all find them in the library. So it might be that we're looking for some lyrics for a particular song. So let's look up the song, let's look up, we've got Oceans listed there, but let's look up something starting with L. Let's see if we can find Lord, I Need You. That's a good one. So I'm just typing in here, Lord, I Need You. Now you'll notice that as you type it in, it will update the library to find the songs or the components that include those phrases. So it's important that you spell the components right. You'll notice that it has automatically stacked up the songs in the order that is most likely, as well as actually giving you a little bar here that shows how popular that song is that you use it. Now all you need to do to add that to your playlist is simply to click it, and you'll notice that all the slides appear in the presentation window, and just drag that, click and drag that into your playlist. So now, as we select our playlist, you'll see that our headers are there along with Lord, I Need You. Let's add a second song. So, for example, let's add the song Oceans. All we do is we type Oceans into the library search box, and you'll notice here, Oceans Where Feet May Fail. Once again, clicking it once will make the slides appear in the presentation window. Clicking and dragging will simply add them to the playlist. Now, it might be that you wanted Oceans before Lord, I Need You. Well, all you need to do is select it, and once again, drag it to change the order. So this is a live list right here. You can do whatever you'd like to this list. I would say, however, just be patient with it. Every time you move something, it does need to update, so it will take a second. Just don't be too, clicky. Sometimes it can get a little stressed if you try and get it to do too many things too quickly. So we've added a couple of songs to our playlist. Now you'll notice here that the search box has oceans in it, so the library is limited. We can always press this X button here, and that will just open our library fully once again. One more thing that I will bring to your attention is that this little cog here will open up the possibility of a filter. Now, we will always have it set on all. We don't have enough library components to really require the filters, but you'll notice here that on occasion, if someone has accidentally selected a filter, such as lyrics, some components, such as those presentation components, won't appear. Equally, if you do presentation, none of the lyrics will appear. So sometimes you'll be looking for something in the library and be like, oh, I type in oceans, why is there no results? Well, just double check before you add a new song that it isn't because a filter is turned on. Now, you'll notice that we've only got a few songs in our list. Let's add some other components to this as well. For example, some announcement slides. Now, to do this, we don't have to actually go to our library. We find those in our video image bin. So we click that once to select it, and you'll notice these hot folders that I mentioned before. We've got ones like temporary media. These are things that we might only use one particular week, as well as information slides, which is the kind of content we might use week to week. So for example, I've got an announcements header, but that doesn't actually display anything. I might add an announcement slide. I've got a couple of choices here. I've got this announcement slide here, this graphic, and I've also got this one. For the sake of this presentation, let's use the one I just selected. So all I need to do is click and drag, once again, into the playlist under announcements, and you'll see that it has been added. We also, for example, might have a child dedication. Well, that's nice. We'll add that into our announcements area too. Once again, it's simply to click and drag will serve that purpose. Now, we can close our video image bin once again by clicking that button, and you can see that in our presentation window, now we have 2 songs as well as some announcement slides. So that's looking pretty good. Let's add one more song. Given we're right here, let's add Nothing is Impossible, and we'll add that to Worship O2. What I want to do for the next couple of minutes is I want to show you 2 different things. I want to show you how to add a song, and I also want to show you how to add, say, sermon slides. 2 very important features. Now, the thing that you need to understand about ProPresenter is whenever you make a change, it saves in real time. So it's really important. It saves in real time. So if you make an adjustment, you don't have to save it. It has already been saved. So just keep that in mind as you make any changes. So the first thing is that we're going to look at is how to add a new song. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a new video specifically on how to add a new song because that way you'll be able to find in case that's specifically what you need.